All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We got another chart talk coming at you. It is Tuesday, October 24th, 4:16 on the East Coast, 1:16 out here out West. And we've got an earnings bonanza that we are in the middle in. Earnings season just kicked off. We're finally getting to the fun names. We just had Microsoft and Google report. We had Netflix earlier in the week. So we're seeing some reactions now, trying to gauge these earnings. Market's been very back and forth. We've been dealing with the sell-off the last few weeks. So lots going on. I'll take us into a quick broad market outlook real quick. And then we can talk about some of these earnings names and what's going on with the market. So, I mean, SPY right here, it's it's come all the way in now, retesting this 4,200 level in the S&P. Is this going to be the bottom of the down moves that we've been experiencing since July? I'm not sure. I think this area right here needs a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of back and forth behavior before we make a next move. I don't think we're just going to dump here. I don't think we're just going to rage off this bottom. I think it's going to be very frustrating. Right here, this 4,200 level in the S&P. And when you look at the QQQ, which is, wow, currently flat after hours. It's interesting that the Qs are flat because Microsoft is way up on earnings. Google's way down on earnings. They're canceling each other out. We know how big of weightings they have in the market. But here's what we were discussing internally was a nice little move down to the 200-day simple moving average right here. So, we've got the QQQ in this beautiful little pattern. I don't anticipate it to stay in this beautiful, obvious pattern and do a little breakout. I expect to see this support broken pretty viciously. And then we come test the 200-day simple moving average, and then we find some support there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. But I'm not putting huge weight behind this. That has to happen. I'm very inactive right now. I keep telling everyone I'm waiting for a fat pitch. I had some good trading 2 or 3 weeks ago where I really caught a move. Mm-hmm. I've virtually done nothing since. I feel like I haven't seen it too well since then. So instead of just pressing it every day, I'm just kind of waiting for my market. Quick check in on rates. We tickled that 5% number. That's the biggest pain for the market right now is these rates. As long as these rates are ripping higher, it's tough to expect the market to move higher with them. So that's kind of where I'm at broad market wise. Just kind of waiting and seeing. I'm gonna share it back your way if you want to get into some stuff. Oh, we got Nugget on my screen. Let's go.
All right, so you actually were touching on the 10-year, and when you're drawing it out, we saw, you mentioned touch 5%, and we see it looks somewhat similar. If we kind of look at this prior run, late 2022, where we had this, impressive breakout in the 10-year, and it found this resistance like 4.3, and it just based out for the rest of the year, and then had this next leg. We see the same kind of run up. Let me see if I can just draw this out visually really quick. So we have this big run up, and then we have this period of consolidation, and we're kind of seeing similar run up into.
You call it top?
I think 5% is. I think this is like a psychological level. I think we might see some consolidation. I'm not saying this is a top. I think
I heard top.
Short-term top. I'll
Short-term top.
Don't hold this way for the next 6 months, but I think we do.
All your money into NASDAQ is what Bennett's saying.
Honestly, I think that's the best space right now. But I think the 10-year, I think 5% will be resistance for now. I think we kind of trade in this range of 5% to 4.3 for the foreseeable future. I don't think it'll be next year, but it just looked similar kind of run up. Again, last week or this most recent weekend newsletter, we kind of touched upon how, and we both kind of had a similar take. We, kind of thought, some kind of wish-washy action. Here I'm talking about, we were expecting the SPY to flush this 420. Another big thing we were focusing on was taking profits in the energy sector, which we can see here, profit taking as this energy sector kind of met resistance. We were talking last week about if it was going to be this crazy breakout like what we saw in the 70s, and we just didn't think that was going to happen. And we're just seeing now, the energy sector that was a decent spot to take some profits as energy is now kind of fading back into this broader pattern that's been forming. So it seems like taking profits energy or avoiding it for now seems to be the move. Again, the tech names seem to be the strongest. They're holding up. They're respecting support, probably the strongest. Again, I don't think this is like a short-term bottom. Like your point, I do think we need to really shake lower and probably test the 200-day before we get any real move higher. It just doesn't seem like we have much going on in the market to really dictate some major breakout when there's just really no individual setups. And I think even between, for my newsletter for the weekend, I had a handful of ideas, and I know for yours, it was a little bit like slimmer than usual. And there's just not that many setups out there right now from a trading standpoint. So I'm definitely with you in kind of the less is more camp. We were talking about, again, there was some news in Snapchat. You mentioned before we got on the call, there was, a buyback going on in that name. For the members, again, we've been doing this 5K challenge where we start with $100 and you can save an extra $100 a week. And the first member who gets to 5,000, if they get it before you or I, they would get the value of both of our accounts, potentially up to $10,000. And we have an incentive to obviously get there first, so we can keep the $5,000 respectively for each of us. So I've been catching a little flack lately for having this, my idea for my account to get to the 5,000 was to pick one name that I thought could get me to that 5,000 number faster than everyone else. I picked Snapchat, which has been probably the most hated name in this challenge. But with this news after hours, again, it kind of faded it entirely before we started this phone call.
Oh no.
It was up 20%. I think it was like 1150. Now it's faded back down to 10. So kind of a mute point now.
I'm looking over these earnings though. They do seem they're very, very, very good. They beat on the EPS side. They were expected to have negative earnings per share. They beat that number by 7 cents to have positive earnings per share. Daily active users, 406 million, or a 12% increase over year. So, I mean, and they announced a huge buyback. That's the thing. It's like they're buying back a good chunk of their stock. I don't know where the number is, but just huge news. When a company's at dead lows like that, they need some confidence, right?
Yeah.
A huge buyback is like the big vote of confidence that they could. I thought they needed, but apparently after hours.
Yeah. I mean, this name, again, earning wise, this name has always been, since probably since 2021 when it was like up in the 80s. Post that first gap down, I feel like all their earnings have just been like just stock wise, like they've just been a disaster where the name just gets smoked. So it's interesting that it did gap up, a decent amount, but it did fade it against pre-market or post-market. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. But given that it kind of gave back a lot of this move already, I wouldn't be too surprised. I'm not hopeful to see this name back up near $12 tomorrow. But we were doing the math. If this does get back to 15 before anyone else gets $5,000, then I'll technically take the W in this, but we're way far from that now. It's 50% move from here. So still have plenty of time to go in this challenge. I know there's some members taking, doing it with us. So we'll see eventually who wins. But for now, I still got a lot more work to do with that position before I'll be anywhere near taking the prize for that one. So Shake, I'll pass it back to you. If there's any top ideas? I know you mentioned you're really doing much trading lately. Same myself as well. So anything?
Well, this time becomes, it's ironic that there aren't a lot of setups right now, because normally, these week or 2 weeks leading up to earnings are very, very quiet for us anyway. So it's almost like I was going through charts this weekend. I was like, I couldn't find like anything I really wanted to buy or even really wanted to sell. Everything was stretched to the downside. Most things, are pretty broken apart. Very, very, very selective market. So I didn't mind that, we didn't have a lot of setups this weekend. A stat I couldn't believe was 6 out of every 7 stocks are trading below their 50-day moving average. Just kind of shows you the how tumultuous it is under the hood. It's ugly. And then, we just have mostly tech names, as you pointed out, the Qs holding us up. And it's definitely not a healthy market, but earnings season always provides a ton of opportunities. So this week we came to the week looking at this PDD. This is the trade of the week. I don't like this trade that much, but it was really the best acting stock I saw. Has a big breakout, pulls into the 20-day moving average, a controlled pullback into a prior support level. And all we're looking for is 104 versus 102, and then trim between 108 and 112. And you're getting 1-to-1, 2-to-1, and 3-to-1 in that, or 2-to-1, 3-to-1, and 4-to-1 in that, between, trimming 108 to 112. So, you got that move today. That's a good trade in that regard. Mark called out this cart. I forgot it was Instacart. I bought it and it's like it exploded for me today. And honestly, it looks good. You know, he called out, it's got this nice little base here. And what I like, so recent IPOs, when they support like a whole figure, it's generally the underwriters or some institution. It's such an anomaly in the market of whole numbers and IPOs. It's a weird thing where we'll see like a million share bid come in at, for example, $24. You see how this stock, for example, rips below $24 once here, rips below again, then just defends it like crazy before it wants to push up higher finally. So I do not like this name, and I do not like this stock or this company, but you know, it gave us a great trading setup. Mark called it out. Mark's been killing it for me lately. Whenever he calls something out, I buy it. It's fucking winner. So shouts out to Mark. I bought this 25 here. I'll go over the trade real quick.
Just while you're pulling it up really quick. For those that don't know what a figure is, that was probably one of the first things that I was afraid to ask back at the prop firm when they would call it out. Figure is a whole number. Again, Shake was talking about 24 being support. We will always, you know, very quickly,
figure,
24 figure, it's the whole number, 25, 100, any whole number when you're buying, you know, 35.00, that's the whole number. Very quickly, from a trading standpoint, we always look to buy above those whole numbers, and we want to get out below them. So if 24 is supporting the stock, we'll have a sell stop at like 23.89 or 23.99 or 23, you know, 74. We want to be under that level. And on the flip side, if we see resistance at 24, we want to buy above that. And that's just something I know for myself at the prop firm. I was like embarrassed to ask what a figure was, and we'll replace those stops, you know, the buy stops, sell stops, but that just seemed like a very quick mini lesson. But back to you, Shake, on this cart trade.
Okay, so I mentioned that 24 figure, how important it was. And if you look when it gets taken out, we see volume come back. It gets taken out, volume rips it right back up. And now it's defending 24 whole figure. Again, Mark called this one out. He was like, this looks good through 25 against 24. I bought that 25, and you see this little trend line I got the last few days as it's wedging lower. So I kicked some, you know, probably like 100 shares out of 2,000. So like 5%. And then I got out of another, I got out a third of the trade here. So I kicked out for $1, you know, pretty much 1-to-1, and then $1.50, $1.60. This, I was going to hold it all. This second kick right here, it came from me because it doesn't say Instacart. It says Maple Bear Inc. So I'm like, some like bullshit tech company. And then I Google Maple Bear Inc. and it's like Instacart. And I'm like, sell it. You know? So that's just a nice little cash flow trade. I took a third off. It's just holding that 24 figure so well. It looks decent for a swing trade. Again, don't like too much out there. But that gave us a nice trade. Shout out to Mark for there. And then the other alert we had today, this MNSO, this ended up being amazing. I didn't buy this. Some people did. I know Abby got in this one. And you just see, very strong name. Recently broke out, what is that, August, September. Just been consolidating tightly since. Support is meeting resistance here as it's consolidating. And it gets that inflection point where it's got to make a move. And the buyers, since it's in such a long-term uptrend, we can assume that buyers are going to win this battle. And then, yeah, you got the alert there.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
And then that, you know, so that's what makes us like it long. You know, Ben was talking about he's like catches a lot of shit for that Snapchat trade. The reason is because you look at MNSO, top right name, it's got a lot of demand. Snapchat, you know,
dead,
permanently in the dumpster. So he does this like woe is me thing, like, oh, I'm going against the grain and buying this. It's because we literally have books teaching us to do the opposite. But you know,
we're really killing it today. Forgetting names, doing the opposite of what our books say. We're on fire lately.
No, well, my trade was good. My trade's still good. You don't need to know what the stock is called to make money on it. But let's check out some of these earnings after hours movers we got. Let me see. So we got, this is Microsoft right here. You know, just ripping once again. Looks like, and the weekly chart on this thing, I bet, is just so beautiful now because it looked beautiful when it was trading down here. And yeah, that's a chart that looks like it's got all-time highs written all over it. Look at that beautiful cup and then a little handle there, breaking out to new highs on earnings. That one's going to be good. These Google earnings, again, did not get to look at them at all. But you can see the stock is getting hurt pretty bad. What's that? 140 down to 132. So Down a little bit, down 5% or so, whatever that is. We'll see with the rest of these, earnings season is a great time to be very selective, and then you can find some huge winners. So it's definitely the time I do best. It's so that's enough. That's really all I got for the charts. But the earnings season, it's like, I used to be able to mosey into the market like 20, 30 minutes before the open and be like, blah, blah, blah. I don't like anything. Now it's like, I got to get my ass out of bed, 4:45, 5, have that coffee and just get into these earnings because there's so much opportunity out there and you never know when that's going to happen, which name it's going to be, which setup it's going to be. It could be anything. I typed up this GE today after the close, right? It's a name we don't really care about. It had earnings this morning and it closed 6% higher from where it closed yesterday, 107 and 114, whatever that is. So I wouldn't say, oh, the GE earnings look sick. Had I been intuitive enough to take that trade today to long side, I would have made money. I don't care, it's GE. I just you got to be on your research game right now. There's a ton of opportunity out there. I just realized I'm not sharing my screen.
That's all right.
That's the gist of it. Earnings season is you got to do your research. You got to be very selective, especially now. Market kind of looks crappy, so that's really all I got. What are you thinking over there? Last thoughts?
I mean, that's again on my end. This past weekend we had a little trading experts Halloween party, so had a couple members show up. We had Chip, we had Freddie, we had Justin, Winley. I still did not forget you did not show up, and then you texted me you were coming on your way. Dennis came from
He's on his way, huh?
Yeah, he was like, I'll be there in a couple hours. I'm like, all right, cool. Doesn't show up. George came with, his girlfriend dressed as Wilma, and ironically, another girl was dressed identical in the same exact costume. They could have been sisters. So definitely some funny pictures. Hopefully Ryan will post a couple of them. So it was good. We had Higgins was there. Of course, he didn't dress up as Biden as he promised to, but fun little meetup. Again, for me, I typically do like Friendsgiving, and we did one last year. I know you're too far to fly out for it, from Cali to Jersey, but this year I was potentially renting my house out again after just moving back in. And the person wanted to move in pretty much like today. So like, hey, can you move? We want to move in a couple of months. Our house got damaged, whatever. And I was like, shit. I'm like, if I move back out on Monday, I can't do this, my like annual Friendsgiving party. So I was like, all right, screw it. Let me do Halloween. Let me squeeze this like quick little party before I have to move out again. The deal kind of fell through, but at least we still had like fun. So I know going forward, I'm swapping out Friendsgiving parties with Halloween parties because Halloween parties are way more fun. So much more fun. So again, that was fun. The next one I'm going to do is New Year. So for Winley, buddy, I know you said you're going on this time. I expect to see you there next time. Maybe Shake. Maybe you got enough time to fly back to
make that for Thanksgiving.
No, for New Year's. I'm not doing a party next month. It's way too soon. But New Year's will probably be the next one I'll do at my house. So if you want to come out to Jersey,
see.
Last time you're at my house.
I'm going to close on the place right around then. So
maybe we'll see. We'll see. I mean, that's it on my end.
Got it. You got the closer. You got it. I always do it. Today's the day. Let's see it.
Yeah, even though we should just at the beginning, it should be like, oh, like, subscribe. We're like 50, minutes in where there's probably 3 people left watching. That's probably Winley is one of them. But my camera just turned off. Again, if you guys are still watching, like, subscribe. If you're not in the Discord already, please do. Again, we have 11 published books. If you guys need any tax help, we're doing a lot of new fun stuff in the new year. So hopefully you enjoy these videos. If you have any ideas for any new ones we should do, let us know. And that's all I got.
That's all we got. See you guys next week.